Michael Dorn. Mrs. Marina Santos. Ladies and gentlemen, Brent Spiner. Enjoy the show.
Where is he?
Am I here?
Yes.
Yes, here. All right. It's nice.
This is in case I don't know who I
We're
am.
running the show here?
I think we are in the show.
So,
Yes.
well, let me just begin by saying, hi, I'm Garrett Wong.
I know.
Did you want to take some photos first to get it out of the way?
Oh, no.
Yeah, let's not go. Shameless, Brent. Shameless.
I'd like to start by asking Brent Spiner,
Yes.
what did it feel like when you first met Data?
What?
When you first met the character of Data, what did it feel like? As Brent Spiner, they gave you Data. What did it feel like? What were you thinking?
I was thinking... it was so long ago, how do I know what I was thinking? I don't know what I was thinking when I came through the curtain.
Okay, let me ask you this. When you came through the curtain, what did you think? Is that
I was thinking, I wonder what I was thinking
Is this
when they
blocking
gave me
the-
Data. All right.
Is this blocking the view of my cleavage?
You're going to get the right angle, you can see Garrett Wong down there.
Stop it.
So, Marina,
Yes.
what were you thinking when you first met your cleavage?
Thank you, Lord.
John
Same as
Delancey.
everybody else when they saw my cleavage.
Actually, I know that I've talked to John a lot about he and his character when he first started, which was a very interesting story. But John just actually came back from an amazing journey that many of us would not have taken. He sailed to
Marina's cleavage and back.
Marina's. Nice one. He sailed to the South Seas with him on a small, not a big boat, on a small boat with two other people, and it took 3 months. Was that it?
I went from Ventura, California to the Marquesas, which is an island group about 3,000 miles away from Ventura. And then I sailed on to the Tuamotus, which is the largest coral archipelago in the world, which was about 500-600 miles away, to islands that were called Rongaroa and Fakarava, and then to Tahiti, which is part of the Society Islands. I'm getting ready in May, I guess, to continue on to Samoa, Fiji, Tonga, and New Zealand.
So your boat is still down there, right?
Yeah.
Wow. It was exciting. We were getting emails along the journey, and it really was exciting. It was an amazing adventure this guy went on, and we were afraid for him many times. I'm sure he was scared for himself too, but it was life and death a few times, wasn't it?
Well, I don't know about life and death.
Well, that whole
you were never far one of the things in which you discover out there is that you never see anybody. You never see any other boats. None of us who made the travel ever saw any other boats. But if something were to happen, the chances of finding you, just even turning around within a few minutes, would be really slim. And if it happened at night, it would be almost impossible. We passed along the way a big orange fisher glass, those big glass buoys that the Japanese use for big fishing nets. And I saw it first, and it was about, it was about 35 yards off the port. And I went, oh my God, look, there's a big orange thing there.
And Amelia Earhart was in it, right?
Yeah. And by the time the others had come up from below, which was just a matter of seconds, we never saw it again. Ever saw it again. And we began to go, ooh,
Yeah, that could be us.
That could be us, right.
Now, there's a microphone here, and if people would like to come up and ask
And
questions,
shove that photographer out of the way. It's taking up the whole line.
his assassin's scope on there.
Yeah.
You can come up here and ask us questions, and we'll be somewhat happy to answer them.
Yeah, just stand right in front of the photographer. There you go.
New questions. But I got to say, this is it's been an interesting. Last year was the 25th anniversary of Next Generation. Who would be, 25 years later, we'd still be doing this. We'll still hang out, we'll still be friends, and it's been a great ride. And we want to thank you fans for doing that. So let's get to the questions first. Go ahead.
Thank you, Garrett.
Actually, I have a question for John. How did you like voicing in Quantum Conundrum, video game?
Oh, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing those type of things. It's a little different. Most actors always say, well, the good part is that you don't have to dress up. You can just kind of roll out of bed, which is not quite true. But in any case, I enjoyed doing it. And then, what is it? Assassin's Creed is out there right now. Yeah.
That one?
Yeah. So it was fun. They're fun to do.
Great. Next question. Hello.
Hi. Actually, I have two little questions, if that's cool. John, what was it like working on Breaking Bad with Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul? You were such an integral part of that story arc. At the time, it was amazing. And Heisenberg has been walking around. I don't know if you've seen him yet, so he looks pretty cool.
It was great. It was great to work on the show. I mean, it's all about the writing. When the writing is terrific, and in this case, the writing seems to be always terrific on that show, and I think it's completely due to Vince. Then actors sort of just have to get out of their own way, and you just ride it. I mean, it's the same thing. A lot of people say about Shaw and Shakespeare is just say the words, just say the words, and all of the inner work, and it's all there, and it comes out. And they also work in a very detailed way, which is completely unlike most television shows. It's more like a really good movie that has the time to do that. So Bryan and Aaron are consummate actors, and they approach each scene as well as the crew to really do as tip-top job as they can, and it's paid off. And that a little show that who would have thought that a guy a teacher of chemistry who had gone bad essentially would become such a hit all over the world, but it's because of this type of attention to detail.
We can't hear the microphone sound for a second.
Testing.
Well,
What was it like to work with Jonathan Frakes as the director, you guys?
he's my favourite director. And I'm not just saying that because he's my anxiety. He is. He's my favourite director. He's awesome. He's a wonderful director. I really...
There you go.
I fixed it.
That's it, thank you. Usually directors are actors actors, directors, or they're technical directors. And he's both. So when he's on the set, it's like everyone there would like walk on glass for him. And he's got such a great, he's like a force of nature, isn't he, Jonathan?
I'm not sure who you're talking
Oh,
about.
sure. He really is. And every other show that I've guest starred on, that he's, you know, that they know him, and they know him as a director now, and everyone says nothing but good things about him. So it's not just us that love him.
I love they always say, because he did Castle. And I went over there and they said, oh, Dad, we had one of your friends that was as director. I said, yeah. I said, who's that? He said, Jonathan Frakes. I said, wow, that's great. They said, he's loud, isn't he? I said, yeah, he's pretty big.
He's very loud.
He's pretty big. Yes.
I have a question for Marina.
Hello, lovely.
Your name tag is fun.
Marina.
Marina.
Yeah,
Marina, I know.
I'm doing this for the boys, lovely. I'm doing this for the boys.
Oh, good.
And a few girls, I'm sure.
I just wondered why they put your beautiful hair into that little twisty thing in the beginning of the series. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, now it is. Now it is, but it wasn't back in the late 80s, early 90s. You know, I don't know, those of you who were here yesterday heard this, but the only time you ever saw my real hair was in Encounter at Farpoint. That exploded Brillo pad on my head is my real hair.
Well, you look beautiful.
And the other thing I have to say quickly, for all you would-be actors and actresses out there, when you do a TV show, you have to be at work really early in the morning. Like, I had to be at work at 5:15 for hair and makeup. When you wear a wig, the hairdresser can do your hair when you're not in it. Right? You know, the little bun thing, it was a throwback to the 60s, which a lot of the first season was. Oh, was that my outside voice? Sorry. It was that whole, we were trying to get rid of that. But, you know, you've got to remember, a lot of that stuff, like the cosmic cheerleader outfits, they were throwbacks to the 60s that we kind of had to get rid of, you know, gradually. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Hi.
Hello, this is for each and every one of you. If you weren't cast in the roles that you were, which other character on the series would you like to have been?
John.
Oh, no, I can't think. Somebody else.
Okay. Michael? Oh, that's me. If I couldn't do Warren, which I love, I would love to do Data.
Well, in a way you did. Didn't you stop using contractions at some point? You stopped using contractions somewhere along the way.
And then he became British.
Yeah.
Remember how he became British?
I was British too, so you were like a little bit of all of us.
Yes. I was like, Worf's not British. He goes, he could be.
I said, Captain, the captain on the other ship demands to be heard. And Marina said, what is that?
But you know, not only did you stop using contractions on the show,
You stopped using them
in his real life.
in life.
He used to have a message on his phone that would go, hello, this is Michael.
Door.
I am not at home right now, but if you will leave your
If
name
you
and
would
number,
like to leave your that's
I
it.
will call you back as soon as I am able. You know?
Well, for me, it's a no-brainer. Did you say you didn't say who you'd want to be?
No, I didn't say it. It's a secret.
It's a secret. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you. I wished I had been Wesley Crusher. I'd be a much younger man.
Well, I would like to have been the captain. I actually, we have to call him Sir Old Baldy now. But I would like Old Baldy to have been my counsellor, and then I would have ignored him for 7 years. But you know, Troy was always right. But did he ever listen?
Captain, I am feeling something.
It got to the point where, because they wrote me such stupid lines sometimes. I mean, like, I actually refused after a certain point to say, "Oh, Captain, he's hiding something," right? Because we hired good actors on the show generally, you know, Mr. Delancey, case in point, and you knew they were hiding something. So I remember the last time I ever said it, and this was why I refused to say it anymore. Old Baldy had gotten out the wrong side of bed that morning or whatever, and he goes, "We knew that, you stupid cow." "You waste of space." And then he looked at me, and then he went and hid behind Brent. Over to him and I said, "Excuse me, Your Majesty," because that's what we called him. I said, "Excuse me, Your Majesty, I'm just an actress, okay? I just say the lines. I don't write them. And there's no point in you hiding behind Brent Spiner because he doesn't really have superhuman strength, you idiot."
I want to ask a quick question, if you don't mind. Have any of you here in the audience today purchased the Blu-ray edition of Next Generation, the recent one? Yeah. Because 5:45. Well, I guess Paramount's telling the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you go out and buy them, please? They're really good.
Thank you so much. Who's the next one?
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, it's the guy again.
It's Alf.
Hello.
Hello. Every one of you also guest starred in another classic sci-fi series, the revival series of The Outer Limits. I was wondering what attracted you to that role, besides cash, and I was also wondering, for you, Brent, did you enjoy spraying Eric Anderson in the face with the water hose?
Very much. Didn't Eric Anderson do our show too?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I saw a blooper reel the other day for season 5 for the Blu-rays, and I went, "Oh my God, that's Eric Anderson! I didn't even know he did the show." But yes, I loved spraying him in the face with water. I'd love to do that to you sometime if you're.
I have vague memories about Limits. Vague memories. I remember my outfit, and that's about it. But you said, in spite of the cash? Well, that was one of the shows, I have to be honest, I did because of the cash. Okay, thank you.
I was a big fan of the original Outer Limits. I thought it was one of the most underrated science fiction shows on. It was just fabulous. I mean, they had some just incredible. This time the reboot, but the other one had some just amazing actors. If you go back and look at it,
What do you mean the original and not this one had incredible actors?
despite the reboot, despite the reboot.
Oh, okay. I thought you were dissing us. Don't make me strike you, Dawn.
I'm sitting a foot away from you, and you're hearing this gong.
I know.
And so I wanted to do it, just because I thought it was a real homage, because I really love the original. I mean, there was one show that was one Outer Limits. I don't know if you still got it, but there was one about with Robert Culp, and there's another one with Robert Duvall, where these aliens come down to the planet, and Duvall's chasing them, trying to find out what they're doing here, and they can't figure it out. At the very end, they're taking all the kids and everybody that are physically challenged and taking them away and fixing them on their planet. It's like all the people that we discard, they're taking. And just before they take off and everything, they're fine. I mean, it was just an amazing story. So I did it because I love the homage stuff. So. Did you?
Yeah, we had the same.
Well, we did an episode. It was a different. There were a couple of series of Outer Limits. I did 2 different ones, but we did an episode together. We didn't know each other,
Right.
But apparently we were in the same episode.
Yeah, and I remember it, unfortunately, really sort of sadly, because all of us, we were in the makeup chair, and all of a sudden there was this news on, and they said that the Challenger had blown up.
That's right.
And it was the day that the Challenger had blown up on the launch pad. So I will always remember.
I remember. I had a very small role in that episode. I was just a boy. You were an older man at the time. I don't remember ever seeing you actually, but I think we're in a scene together.
Railsback was in that.
Steve Railsback was the star of it.
Yeah.
But then, that was the CBS version of Outer Limits. Then there was another Outer Limits that was on cable that we did. I particularly love the one you were talking about where I abused Eric Anderson. I particularly enjoyed doing that episode because I played a very kind of macho, tough guy, and it gave me the opportunity. I was going to say, it gave me the opportunity to play Marina on.
Sorry.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
My question is for Mr. Spider. You, early on in the series, worked with Saul Rubinek in an episode, and
Yes.
very recently worked with him on Warehouse 13.
Well, not briefly. I did 6 episodes.
But very briefly.
I mean, he was more brief on Next Generation because he only did 1 episode. Whereas I did 6 episodes of Warehouse 13. Just wanted to, go ahead.
I was just wondering how you felt about working with him again, if you even remembered who he was, or if you were excited or just didn't give a crap.
Don't you love it when you're the regular on the show and they ask you what it's like to work with a bloody guest star?
Yeah. You know what? I did remember Saul because I knew Saul before he did Next Generation. We did a play together in New York in 1978. You were born, right? No. In 78, I did a play called Leave It to Beaver is Dead. It was a fantastic play. Seriously. It starred Saul, myself, Maury Chaykin, who was a wonderful actor, and Mandy Patinkin and Diane Weiss.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was sure that none of those people were going to get anywhere. Except me, of course. And what do? Warehouse 13. That was a great experience. And of course I remember Saul. And we're actually really good friends. So he sort of recommended me for that. And I kind of recommended him for our show because if you know the story, there was another actor playing Kiva Spaggio for 2 days. And we shot with him for 2 days. And he took his life over the weekend. And
I didn't know that.
oh yeah. He was in Willow, in the movie Willow. David Rappaport. David Rappaport.
The little guy?
Yeah.
I think it was the little
Was
guy.
that him?
That was David Rappaport.
David Rappaport.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was,
Wow.
And so they were stuck, and the director happened to be a Canadian director. Saul's Canadian. And he said, hey, maybe we should see if he's in town, maybe he'll do it. And so we called Saul and said, would you do this? And he said, sure. And he came over, and that's how he wound up being Kiva Spaggio. Yeah.
Hi.
So they worked with you and then they topped themselves.
Yeah, I'm surprised it never happened to you.
Yeah. Never happened with me. I'm sure there's a lot of,
So I have kind of a 2-part question for Mr. Spiner.
2 parts. Part A.
Oh, part A, it depends on how you answer it.
So it's a test.
I read an interview by you online, and you had mentioned that you would film Star Trek and you'd never really view the finished episodes. And I didn't know if that was true. Because if it is, I was just wondering.
Well, wait a minute. Is that part B? Part B is, if it's true, you were wondering.
Correct.
So I could eliminate part B entirely.
Something you have when you want to talk, so.
Let me say, I watched several of the early episodes in the first season, and then I thought better of it. And no, I just thought I have other things to do. We're working 16 hours a day. Yeah.
You know, you're a paid actor, so you're paid to act.
Sometimes.
Yeah. But, well, my question is, how confused did you get as far as the plot line, or did you get to a point where you just didn't pay attention, you just kind of read your script and went through it?
Yeah.
It's hard to because you kind of, because I know for
Don't piss off my friend.
insulting, I'm just asking, because I know that they film a lot of the scenes out of order.
Yes.
All of them out of order.
All of them out of order. So I was just wondering, if
Did I
you
get
don't
confused?
really watch the finished product, how it ever put it together as far as like the overreaching story.
The plot is actually in the script.
He had a dig there, and you didn't notice it. He had a little dig there, and I am going to come and strike you in a minute.
Dig.
Obviously, I find
Shit.
a lot.
I'm talking.
What was the dig?
The overreaching storyline.
The overreaching
I
storyline.
think you're overreaching a little bit, like.
To be quite blunt or honest here, I actually haven't watched all of Star Trek.
You mean?
Move away from the microphone.
Wait.
Move away from the microphone.
Have you at least read them?
Move away. My way, all y'all out there. If you're mean to me, I'm going to be mean to you. Okay?
That's hot.
Don't encourage her.
Hi, this question is actually for Brent.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes, I watched the first few episodes.
I'm actually one of the few people that will openly admit to really thoroughly enjoying Nemesis, and
Thank you.
I was curious, as you played a role in creating the story for that film,
Yes.
what it was like for you creating the character of Data over all those years and being a part of his death and creating that death, and if you felt that the movie left off almost abruptly in terms of B4's evolution, or if you felt that the series of next-gen movies ended perfectly.
Yes. No, I think we had maybe 10, 15 more movies in us. You'll have to speak to Paramount Pictures about that. We really had nothing to do with it. But, as far as the demise of Data, I felt fine about that. That was because I figured in the next film we'll get him back. And I still think that, by the way.
Because it doesn't matter if you die on Star Trek.
I mean, how many times did Spock go?
We killed Denise twice. How many we killed Denise twice? Brought her back.
Denise been, yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Shatner? He was killed a couple times, I think. Wait, is that a character on the show, Shatner? But no, seriously, I figured if we did another film, it would all work out fine. And, but I said, we didn't know if we were going to do another film, so we thought if this is the last one, let's leave the audience with a nice, dramatic, moment. And as it turned out, not only did Data die, but so did the rest of the cast.
Thanks, Brad.
Yes, thank you.
Michael, we'd like to hear more about your new program that's coming out, that's being proposed for television.
Well, it's way far away from being programmed. You know, I mean, if you weren't here yesterday, it was just a spin-off of the Next Generation that I had an idea about, and it got some traction, but it just didn't. When it got to Paramount CBS, they put a kibosh on it because they didn't want to interfere with the J.J. Abrams work that they have now. Hey, you know, so that's kind of where it went. The script is done, and we actually had a couple of meetings with CBS Home Entertainment, but it just didn't. But you know, it could. You know, you never say never in this business. You know, somebody could decide at CBS that, hey, this is a good idea. You know, once again, it's really up to the fans in terms of you guys actually saying something, you know, or writing, or whatever the case. And even then, it may not happen. But you know, it was just an idea that looked good for a bit.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes.
Okay, this one's directed to Mr. Spiner. Yeah, I know, I just have to ask this. Recently,
You didn't have to.
all right, well,
You wanted to. Let's be honest.
okay, you got me.
Okay.
Recently, me and my family have been watching Star Trek Enterprise, and I noticed your role in a few of the episodes in the last season as Dr. Soon.
Right.
And I thought that was a really interesting concept. The man who created Data, like the guy, you playing the guy who made Data, character in Next Generation. I was just wondering what you thought about that, just how that felt. You know,
It wasn't the same character.
Yeah, I know.
It was a relative of his. They had different first names, but they had similar noses. I felt great about it. You know, I was brought on to Enterprise for a 3-episode arc to ostensibly save the show.
Yes.
And worked out like a dream. But no, I thought it was a really cool idea that Dr. Noonien Soong, who created Data and Lore and B4 and perhaps yourself, that the history of that, the prehistory of that, was this character Arik Soong, who was a renegade, but also a genius, much like myself. And so, no, I thought it was a really, really interesting concept.
All right, and my last one is, in that same arc, they also brought in the eugenics war and the arguments.
Mm-hmm.
Did you think that was cool, or kind of just reminiscing on the original Star Trek too much, or what was that?
Wait, was that on something else?
Oh, no.
I mean, the augments and the eugenics and all was...
Yeah, that was in the same arc that you were in.
Right, no, I remember mine, but was there... did it come from some other show?
I mean, the original series, they had, you know...
He's assuming we watched the original series.
There was a show before ours? I'll have to check that out. I've got a lot of time on my hands now.
All right.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, buddy. Hello.
Hello. My question is for Mr. John Delancey. My daughter is a huge fan of yours only because she watched the Next Generation with her family. But what she came across was an episode of My Little Pony. In this particular episode, she is watching this rather interesting character who she decided was cute. Can you elaborate on your fun character there?
Awkward. How do you want me to elaborate?
Honestly.
Well, that I won't have any problems with. But specifically, what do you want to know?
Well, because she's such a big fan of the cartoon, and she does love the Next Generation quite so much. How did you decide to bring the Q character over to the My Little Pony universe?
Oh. I was just watching cartoons one morning. And I decided to bring the, I got a call from my agent simply saying that you haven't offered to do My Little Pony, which I had frankly never heard of. And how many of you were left yesterday? Oh, good. So a lot of you.
No, not many.
Not very many. Okay. So I'll just tell what I. So in any case, I said what actors say usually is when, how much, and let me read the script. And I did, and it was very well written. And I did not think of it as a cute character, but clearly the sort of the vibe had that potential. Okay, so I did it. I the next day or a couple of days later, and promptly forgot about it. And about 3 months later, I went down to my computer, and there were 300 or 400 emails in my email box, and they all were MLP. And I called up to my wife and I said, "What do you know about My Little Pony?" And she said, "Well, you had voiced it about 3 months ago, and it's a cartoon for little girls."
So, John.
And hold on. And I said, "Well, let me tell you something. These are not little girls."
Did you only do one episode? And all this from one episode? Look.
And that was my introduction into at least the world of bronies and into the world of My Little Pony. And then I met the creator of it, who then did say, Lauren Faust, who said, and I did a documentary of it. You can actually see her say it. So she said, I was trying to explain the character to the network, and she said it's like Q in Star Trek, and they go, "Oh my God, do you think we could get Q?" So that's how they called me, and that's how I got on the show.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
I thought you'd done like 10 or 20 episodes, because he's like huge in the MLP world now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, since then I have done, I don't know, 4 or 5 episodes.
Right.
And there's a song coming out. For the first time in my life, I'm usually paid not to sing. I actually was paid to sing this very fast patter song.
Wow.
So I hope you enjoy it.
He's king of the bronies now.
Like my lines, I don't remember them.
Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm an elementary music teacher, and I was lucky enough to teach both of my sons in elementary school. One of them is right here. He has a question for Mr. Spiner. We watched Star Trek Generations about 2 months ago, and they loved the song that you sang about life forms. Life forms. And he has a question about that for you.
Oh, there you go.
Hi.
My name is Christopher, and I was wondering how long it took you to practice that song.
Christopher. May I call you Christopher? Christopher, I worked on that song for at least 10, 15 seconds before I did it. Seriously, they wrote in the script that said, Data sings, in parentheses, and it says, life forms, you funny little life forms. And that's all it said. And then the director said, and action. So I kind of winged it at that moment. I'm very proud of that moment, though. I've written dozens of songs in my life, and that's probably the most popular one.
You don't you probably don't know this about Mr. Spiner, but he was a big musical star in New York.
Well, not big,
And he
but...
sings beautifully. He's got a wonderful voice.
Well, that's true, but Christopher.
Oh, sorry.
I'm going to sing John's patter song from Little Pony.
Then they'll hire you to do it.
It goes something like this. Pony, you funny little pony.
Hi, I have two questions. Q is my favorite character of all time in Star Trek, and I was wondering who was your inspiration for playing Q?
I was playing at the time Amundsen, who was the explorer who discovered or got to the South Pole first. And I was actually playing him because I was in a show at the time called Terra Nova. And I had maybe about a year or so before that played Lord Byron. And both of those characters sort of, when I read the material, and these guys will say the same thing, when you read the material, you are looking for mostly how it affects you and what you can bring to the role, okay? So the character had certain vibrations that were, you know, maybe the asshole part of the role was by me personally. But there were other parts of the role which seemed to me a little bit like Amundsen, a little bit like Lord Byron, mad, bad, dangerous to know, that type of stuff. So I don't know. It seemed to be it all came together, and was sometimes in those instances it's simple and not overthought, and that's how that came about.
And my second question is, Deanna Troi had great character growth throughout the series. Did you have any input on that, and do you love chocolate as much as she did?
Did I have any input? No. Basically, they started off with the concept for this character, and Gene said, you know, in the 24th century, we should be as concerned about mental health as physical health, and so we want a psychologist on board. But then they kind of didn't really think it through, and so in the first season, you may have noticed there were episodes I wasn't in, because they kind of went, oh, wow, wait a minute, she's on the bridge, and she senses what he's thinking. I mean, there's no story. Get her off the bridge. Get her out. Ride her out. Ride her out. So the first season was very stressful for me because I didn't know. They really didn't figure out what to do with me. In the second season, because I was the only girl left, I kind of became all things to all men, you know, and women. And, you know, the character grew. Because I was never supposed to be like the chick on the show. Believe it or not, and I know you're going to be amazed, Troi was supposed to be the brains of the Enterprise. I know, she became purely decorative after a while, like a potted palm on the bridge. But they did gradually figure out... Potted, yeah. But basically, because of me being the only girl left of that generation, I mean, Diane obviously was a woman, but of a different generation, I did all the girly storylines, and so it worked out really great for me. And then by the time, you know, Gates came back, my character was really established. And do I really like chocolate? Yes, I do, but only dark chocolate. I've never liked milk chocolate, but the thing is, I used to make them give me milk chocolate to eat. Because, listen, if I had eaten as much chocolate as I was supposed to eat, I would never fit in that spacesuit, right? So, and I was always getting calls about, you look fat. And they're making me eat chocolate, right, on the show. So I used to have like a spit bucket. And at the end, I know too much information, so. But anyway, I would spit it out at the end of the scene. But yes, I do. But please don't buy me chocolate. I'm on a diet. Thank you very much.
Hi.
And also, what's wrong with bald people?
Nothing.
Great.
There's nothing wrong with them, it's just our nickname for him. Old Baldy, because he's old and he's bald.
She calls me Old Harry.
Well, I guess I'm just curious, did you really enjoy the Next Generation reunion on Family Guy?
Interesting enough, it wasn't really a reunion as much as it was that, because we all did it at different times. We weren't all there at the same time, but I thought it was a funny show. I mean, it was hilarious.
Did you enjoy the bowling alley?
Yes. I mean, you don't really enjoy, you enjoy seeing it because you're not really, you just go in there and it's so fast. He is so, quick with the work that you're in there
10 minutes.
10 minutes maybe, and you're done. It says, thank you, thanks a lot. Okay, bye. You're gone.
It wasn't like Gargoyles. When we did Gargoyles, we did it like a radio play. And Greg Wiseman and Jamie, the director, they like to work like that. They like to have that group in the room all at the same time. And I prefer that because, at least, acting is reacting. So when you're on your own with the headphones, you don't know how the other person is saying the line. It's kind of difficult, To me, it's just part of the lack of respect sometimes that actors get in Hollywood, that they think we can just out of nowhere produce performances without thinking about it. So,
It's gotten worse and worse.
It has gotten worse and worse, yes.
These days, I had a call the other day for an appointment, an audition for a film, and they said, you can't see the script, you can't see the sides, the part that you're going to read. You can show up 15 minutes early and read it, and then you go on camera. The director won't be there. There'll just be a camera and an operator, and he'll look at the reel later. And it just seems so wrong. And so I went in, and I got there, and I said I was late, purposely. And I said, I'm so sorry I'm late, but I just came from another audition that was so secretive, they actually put a hood on my head. And drove me to another location, so I wouldn't know where I was auditioning. And they didn't even laugh. They actually sat there and went, maybe we should do that.
You go in and there's sort of a loaded hubris that they have, which you kind of go, because they're all so concerned that you might tell the story, and it was based on a book that was a bestseller. And what's always running through me is that you have no one, you don't appreciate how uninterested I am in relating my audition to anyone. I couldn't care less what their story is. And the young boy that was here before, I'm not sure about what song you're talking about, but with that Brent did, and because he's had years and years of practice and working hard, he's able to pull something out of the hat like that. But just so that I just want you, wherever you are, to understand, is that acting is, you really do work at it. And there is something to work at. And it isn't just to be pulled out of the hat. And I who raised two boys, sometimes I would have, they had a hard time appreciating the difference between something that they perceived as easy. Part of our job is to make these things look like they're fun when they possibly aren't. And that they look like they're easy when they possibly aren't. That's part of our job. And we don't want you to know what's going on behind. It's not, there's no value that you should know that, I have a cold today, so my performance is going to be... You just never do that as an actor. Or how long it takes you to learn the lines, or how much practice you had to do to make it look, just, to throw it off like that. So, but here's an opportunity to at least say to you that when it does look easy, sometimes it might really be, but for the most part, we work at it, and that's our craft, and that's the part that we actually really enjoy. So I don't want that young man to think that if it isn't easy for him the first time that he sings a song, oh, he shouldn't maybe do it. Just keep on working at it.
I mean, yes, go ahead.
Hi, I have two questions. First one is, who was your favorite person to work with on set?
You can ask us that.
You can.
Because,
I'll answer while they are thinking. Because I can pull that into actually a little bit of what I just said. For me, it's not the favorite person. It's the best written scene. Because think of a scene as being two people to go out on a tennis court and play tennis. If the scene is not good, it's just, the ball doesn't make it over the net, the other person doesn't really know how to play, or aren't very good. It's just very difficult to get a game going. But it almost doesn't matter who the other person is. If the scene is really good and their skill as well, then those become the favorite people because it's like a really exciting tennis match.
I mean, my thing is for the show. If you're on a show, there's 7 characters, seven lead actors. You're not working with everybody every day, and but you found something really, really fun and interesting about working with each person. I mean, each one of the actors that I've worked with on the show, there was just something specific to them that was fun, or the way they were acting, and sometimes it was magic, sometimes it was just a lot of laughing going on, sometimes a lot of stuff, but there wasn't really any one in particular that you went, oh, I really work with this person and that person. I just they all were so good, and especially when you got a scene with somebody that's like a really important scene, not just dialogue, not just, what do you call it, from just saying stuff, not just exposition. You're actually talking about something, and really, it was great. I mean, there were scenes with Brent that I actually loved when Ward was actually asking, he wasn't really a friend with Marina. There were some really heavy scenes with Marina that were a lot of fun. And Delancey, because we always had that thing where he insulted me every time I came on. And it was, like I said, you just didn't have anyone in particular. It was always...
My favourites were when we were all working together. When everyone was on the bridge, or everyone was in observation, and we were all together, and we laughed ourselves stupid. Honestly, they were my favourite scenes because we laughed. We had one director in the first season who directed 2 shows, and then he refused to ever come back because we were too rowdy. And I think it's probably never happened in the history of Hollywood before. And we all got reamed a new one by Rick Berman. But that was the first season. My God, he would have killed himself if he'd come back in the 7th season. But that was my favourite. We got on as a group, like, immediately. Don't talk when I'm talking. We got on immediately, and we just laughed. We loved each other. We enjoyed each other's company. We got each other's sense of humour. There was a lot of singing, there was a lot of joking. There were no practical jokes because as a psychologist I can tell you that you only play practical jokes on people that deep down you really don't like very much, right? And we adored each other, and to this day we still do. And our favourite thing to do is to hang out with each other. At parties we end up in a corner usually, with our backs to the rest of the room. So it just was serendipity that this group of people adored each other and laughed. Yeah.
Well, particularly enjoyed the fellow who played Lore. Fabulous actor.
I got to tell you, there was on the DVD there was one blooper where now, I wasn't in it, but a bunch of you guys were in observation, and Patrick was he just couldn't get the scene right. He just everything he did was, I hate to say this, it wasn't very good, which is rare. And we all were looking. You guys were looking at him, and he would say, "Yes, I think you should." And you could see the laughter. Because he was laughing at himself, too. He's like, you could see him going, "This is really bad. But I'm going to keep on going." It was brilliant. I'm sorry, but I think that is time.
That's it?
For us.